Hello everyone and welcome to Weight Loss Wingmen, a production of Alchemist Movement. I am your shepherd, Reverend Levity. Thank you so much for going on this journey with me. This is a spiritual accountability program for the imperfect dieter. This is a program made for a very particular type of person, and if you're watching this, it means that I think that you are one of us. So in your binders are some homework that I want you to have filled out before the first meeting. Some of it is just numbers and science and stuff for tracking, and some of it is more journaling answers. Now, I'm someone who gets really intimidated by essay, journal-y type questions, so I want you to give yourself permission to bullet journal if that is more your style. So when I see a question like, what kind of triggers came up for me before the start of this program, I'm more likely to answer more thoroughly if I give myself permission to just list triggers and then dive into more explanation as I feel called. But I'm someone who will avoid a question if I feel like I need to give these really lengthy answers. You don't. Just dig as deep as you want to dig and journal and write as much as you want to. If you want to write pages and pages, that's great. If you just want to make short lists to every question, that's great too. Just know that those answers are not only for you, they're also for me as your shaman and your shepherd, guiding you through this journey. So the deeper you are able to dig, the more that I'll be able to help you look at the stuff that has been waiting for you to see it. Now, this is what I call phase one. There are 3 phases to my weight loss journey, and phase one is the phase where I make my diet the number one priority in my life behind family and work. Right now, there are actually 10 commandments to phase one, and I'm gonna go through them right now. The 10 commandments of phase one. Number 1, thou shalt make your diet your number one priority. This became the foundation of this program back when I was really struggling to lose my postpartum weight. I was sitting at the top of the 50 pounds I had gained during pregnancy. I was actually teaching a workout class. It was one of my workout clients. And I was complaining about how I was struggling to lose weight. And she said, well, it's obviously not your number one priority. And I said, yes, it is. It's the only thing that I care about right now besides keeping my newborn baby alive. And she said, no, it's not. Because if it was your number one priority, you'd be losing weight. That's when I realized whatever is the number one priority in my life is what I'm succeeding at. Sometimes that is my career. Sometimes that's my art. Sometimes that's my relationship. Weight loss is such a struggle for me that in order for me to be successful at it, it can't be number 4 or 5 on my priority list. It has to be number 1. So that day, I made my diet my number one priority. And then I knew from then on that when I was gaining weight, my diet wasn't my number one priority. And when I was losing weight, that meant it was. At least in phase 1. In phase 2, things get a lot more autopilot-y. We'll get to that later. Commandment number 2, thou shalt track every single calorie. If it goes in your mouth, it goes in your records. It's so hard for me to be strict when it comes to eating. I'm someone who loves to cut corners. I love to go unconscious. Like I'll track things all day long and then I'll have a big snack at the end of the night and think to myself, it doesn't matter. You may not count every calorie, but your body sure as hell does. In phase 1, it becomes really important that we track absolutely every calorie that we put in our mouth. And I'm talking about even that handful of M&Ms that you got inside a 25-cent candy machine. It all counts, it has to. And the reason you can do it is because it's phase 1. And in phase 1, your diet is your number one priority. And when your diet is your number one priority, you can take the time to track absolutely every calorie that you put in your mouth. This can feel overwhelming at first, but I promise that once you commit yourself to it, it actually gets kind of fun and easy. And this is what the accountability group is for. We're all doing it. And I have a bunch of ways that we're actually going to make it really fun. And the other reason that this is really important is because the essence of this program is about taking that which is buried in our subconscious, deep in our shadow, and bringing it to the light. For those of us who struggle with weight loss and struggle with our diet, a lot of our eating is unconscious. And it isn't until you are willing to write down every single thing that you eat that you can truly say that you are bringing that which is in the shadows into the light. If you get overwhelmed, just remember this is only temporary. You do not have to live the rest of your life counting every calorie. It's just a part of phase one. And it's just something those of us who struggle with weight loss have to do, especially those of us who have signed up for this program. You'll be surprised how much you're unconsciously eating and how much your brain is justifying, I can have that half donut that someone left in the box at work. That didn't really count. But it did. Put it in your app. If you are struggling with the MyFitnessPal app, I can absolutely help you in person. It's a really easy app to use for what we need to use it for. It gets really fancy, but we don't need it to be fancy. We just need it to track our calories. Commandment number 3, thou shalt say no to any event or outing that could cause you to break your diet. This is a really hard one for some of us, and again, it goes back to the fact that in phase one, your diet is your number one priority. This program was built by me for someone like me. The reason that I had to make this a rule for me during phase one is because I would constantly justify breaking my diet because I was at certain events where I had no willpower. If this is a struggle for you, first of all, we're going to be looking at why it's hard for you to miss out on fun events and parties. And 2, remember, it's only temporary. You're only saying no right now because your diet is the number one priority in your life. Commandment number 4, thou shalt admit failures and successes to others. This is an accountability group. One of the most profound things I learned this year is that accountability doesn't just mean showing up for your failures, it also means showing up for your successes. Think about that. If this group is going to work, we have to be admitting to ourselves and to each other where we're failing, where our shortcomings are, but also where our successes are. And not just to each other, but to the outside world as well. As you start to get a hold of this part of your life, and people might start noticing, not that that's why we're doing it, but let's say someone says, hey, you're looking really good lately. A lot of times our instinct can be to say, oh, I'm just having a skinny day, or oh, I'm just dehydrated, or blah, 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 blah. No, it's important in those times to say thank you. We have to be willing to admit our successes and our failures to each other. I remember the other night, I waited for my husband to leave the kitchen before I snuck a piece of chocolate into my mouth. And it's like, he wouldn't have cared that I was breaking my diet on a piece of chocolate, but it shows that insidious energy that's like, well, if I can hide it from other people, then it doesn't really count. Snakes and cockroaches hide in the dark, and in order for us to stop them from sabotaging our growth, we have to bring them to the light. Commandment number 5, thou shalt examine triggers and unconscious/shadow behaviors. Practice self-reflection, confession, and integration of said triggers and behaviors. You signed up for a spiritual weight loss accountability group, so a lot of this program is rooted in constant self-reflection and honest about behaviors that we would much rather hide, not just from each other, but also from ourselves. I'm going to be teaching you the tools of how to do that, and I'm going to be showing up in a really vulnerable way to show you how I do it, which is going to help you to do it as well. And once you learn these tools, you're going to be able to carry it forward, not just for how you eat for the rest of your life, but it's also going to help you in all other areas of your life where you have goals. Commandment number 6, thou shalt read success stories weekly, if not daily. This is a big one, and I'm going to help you with resources lists of how to do this. Google is going to be your best friend. You could pick up a book. I love the internet because those success stories are being updated and changed daily. This was a huge piece of my success because a lot of this program is about going upstream into the root of the consciousness. Instead of constantly battling with our willpower downstream with how we eat, we want to go upstream into the consciousness, and reading success stories helps with the reprogramming process that tells your brain it is possible. Other people have done it, other people like me have done it, and it helps to start to curve your belief system about what is possible. As within, so without. So in this course, we go inside to change the programming, like you would change the programming in a computer, to change what we're seeing and experiencing on the outside. Commandment number 7, thou shalt make an exciting weekly food plan and stick to it to the best of your ability. This is the one that made phase 1 possible for me. In phase 1 of Weight Loss Wingmen, we need our food to be exciting. And again, this is possible because your diet is your number 1 priority. In your binders, you will see a weekly food plan sheet. I encourage you to fill it out before the week starts. Spend time Googling exciting meal plans that fit inside the diet that you have chosen for yourself. If you're doing keto, search delicious keto dinners and see what you can find and see what you like. Now, because for me, I am so limited on my calories per day in order to lose weight. I'm at about 1,200 calories a day if I want to lose weight. That doesn't leave a lot of room for excitement all day long. So on my food plan, my breakfast and lunch are kind of boring, but my dinners are really exciting. We're talking pork roast with steamed vegetables, mashed cauliflower loaded with butter, stuffed peppers with melted mozzarella. In phase 2, when my weight loss is just kind of flowing and I've hit a really good stride, I stop paying so much attention to making exciting meals because food just becomes less important to me during phase 2. But in phase 1, Lord help me, the only thing that motivated me to keep going was that I had these really delicious, fulfilling, exciting meals to look forward to. Because to be totally transparent, I'm a food addict. I love food, so I needed my food to be really exciting in order for me to stick to it. But the key was it was within my diet plan and I was accounting for the calories, so I could totally enjoy it consciously while knowing I was still inside my calorie limit for weight loss. One of the exciting things about this group is that we're going to be able to share new inventions, recipes, things that really worked for us. I'm a huge sweet tooth person, so I always have to have really exciting, healthy desserts during phase 1. Those can be really fun to share those ideas with each other. Some people like to have really exciting, fun snacks. So it's all about finding what works for you, but the commandment is that what you're eating during phase 1 must be exciting, and you must be putting time and effort into researching delicious, fun new recipes, even if you're not making them yourself, that can keep you on track during phase 1. Commandment number 8, thou shalt carry diet-friendly snacks and water at all times. Friends, this is a really important one because as a food addict and as someone who was actually detoxing down from a lot of sugar and a lot of carb dependence, whenever I would get hungry, that's when I would break my diet. I command you to have snacks and water on you at all times during phase 1. Well, and really always, but during phase 1, and here's why. The second that craving hits, you're at the grocery store, you're seeing the processed food, it's screaming your name, fuck this program, fuck the plan, binge eat this entire bag of Doritos. You reach into your purse, you pull out a string cheese and some nuts, you eat them, even though you don't want them, and you chug water. And I'm telling you, within 5 minutes, the craving for the Doritos will be gone. This was such a huge piece of my success. I cannot emphasize it enough. Those cravings are not going to go away for a while, especially during phase 1. So it is really important that you have a healthy pacifier on you at all times. When I was shoving those snacks in my mouth, I didn't want them. I wanted the Doritos, but the point is that I had easy access to them. It wasn't something that I had to spend 15 minutes making. I didn't need to run out and buy them. I didn't need to go to my car and find something. I had it on me at all times, so the second that craving hit, I could ingest calories, ingest water, and I swear to God, yeah, would I still eat the Doritos if they were put in front of me? Yes. But the craving and that addict-like fiending would go away every time. It never failed. Commandment number 9, thou shalt give yourself grace and bring levity to the journey. And remember to use your spiritual tools, including prayer, meditation, and visualization as aids. So much of my weight loss failures came from working downstream and working alone. When you're working alone, you're in ego. When you're using prayer, meditation, and other spiritual tools, you're out of ego and you're bringing in an entire team to help you with this journey. There is a reason the 12-step program works. Anyone in AA will tell you they are not in a sobriety program. They are in a spiritual program that has sobriety as one of their principles. And that is the same thing with Weight Loss Wingmen. We are so lucky to be spiritual people because when we approach a struggle in our lives, we have access to a higher power that people who aren't believers don't have access to. That is so lucky. I am so grateful. And you're gonna make mistakes. You're absolutely going to. That's why I made this program flexible. That's why the tagline is an accountability program for the imperfect dieter. So that's why the grace portion is so important. You cannot be perfect in this program. It will not happen. But if you trust and you follow the commandments and you're accountable to your failures and your successes, and you show up for yourself and you lean on your higher power no matter what it is, I do not care what dogma you follow, as long as you are reaching out to a higher power, we will be successful. And commandment number 10, thou shalt not be overly strict about which diet one is following. Thou should re-examine diet plan and adjust to fit current cravings and needs, yet always following calories in, calories out. I'm not a dietitian, I'm not a nutritionist, but everyone will tell you the fundamental piece of weight loss is calories in, calories out, and that is why tracking your calories is the very bare minimum requirement of this program. I do not care which diet you practice. All I care about is that you're tracking your calories. Now, for me, I would constantly try to eat low carb. Keto was always my goal during phase 1. I would say I was truly only in ketosis maybe 10% of the time because I was constantly cheating. I would have a tortilla or a piece of wheat bread, or gosh, chips are such a huge treat for me. A lot of times there was carbs showing up that I wasn't even aware of, like in half and half in my coffee, etc. So I was very rarely truly in ketosis, but I was always tracking my calories. And when I would get bored with keto, I would switch to paleo. And when I would feel like, oh, I'm eating way too much meat and dairy, then I would go more vegetarian or vegan for a while. And then I'd be like, oh, I feel kind of bloated from all these carbs. And then I'd go back to keto. It kept me going. That is why this program is so genius for people like me, because it's flexible and it's not about being a zealot to any one way of eating. In fact, you should always be listening to yourself. I swear sometimes I would really hear my body say, you're eating too much meat. Even though I feel really good and thin because I had been eating really low carb, I would feel my body say, you're eating too much meat, and so I'd stop. I command that you listen to your body and you give yourself flexibility, but you must always track your calories. Okay, that's it for now. Please let me know if you have any questions at all. Thank you so much for coming on this journey with me, and cheers to week 1.